So you've got to be a bit careful with scaring people, though. So there's a academic at Carnegie Mellon called George Lowenstein, and he came up with an idea called the Ostrich Effect.
Okay.
So I think this was early 2000s. And it's called the Ostrich Effect because, metaphorically, supposedly,
Head in the
ostrich.
sand.
Exactly, they have the head in the sand. So what he did, he said, if listening to a message, like you've got to save, otherwise you're going to have a crappy retirement. If a message makes the audience feel, embarrassed or shameful or upset, what they tend to do, unless change is very easy, what they tend to do is metaphorically stick their head in the sand. They ignore the message. And he actually tested this principle with money. So Vanguard in the States and a similar Swedish fund provider in Europe gave him anonymized access to their users. And what he could see is the regularity with which people check their portfolios. He then matches that regularity of checking with the country stock market. So in America, he looks at the S&P 500 and how regularly people check their portfolios. And what he sees is when the stock market's going up, people check quite regularly. Yeah. When the stock market begins to drop, then they check it much less. Because generally, if the market is doing well, you're going to have good news. If it's doing badly, you have upsetting news. But Lowenstein's key point is that information is equally valuable. It is not a logical response to only expose yourself to good news. The problem is just getting bigger and bigger if you stick your head in the sands.